Hey everyone, welcome back to the Spring Boot Mastery Series. In episode 1, we understood what Spring Boot is and why developers love it, and have just shown a glimpse of downloading the by default available group ID artifact read and name in the start.spring.io, and we have run the same application, just we created one REST controller and we just executed in the localhost 8080 with the slash get URL. Now we will see in detail like what are the folders available, what is the use of the annotations which we declared in the main application, and all in this video in detail. So in this episode we will create our first Spring Boot application from scratch, and we will also understand the structure of it and run our first API successfully. As we have discussed, like to create a new Spring Boot application, either we can use the start.spring.io application website, or we can create it from the browser itself. So we will go to the start.spring.io, and here we will choose our language as Java and our project as Maven. And here the latest stable Spring Boot version is 3.x.x. Here the values will be vary from once the version got stabilized from the official Spring Boot team. Now here we will give the project metadata. For example, we will keep the group ID as com.example, and artifact ID we will just give as Spring Boot demo hyphen demo, and we will Spring Boot demo project for Spring Boot. It's fine. Generally, the package name is nothing but the combination of group ID and artifact ID. If we want, we can change it. As of now, we will keep as it is the artifact ID, and here the packaging can be jar or var. Since a later point of the time we will convert our Spring Boot mm, modules into the microservices, so it is better to create the Docker images from the jar. We can use Java 17 as well, but the latest stabilized version is 25 as of now, but LTS we have the 21 is more stable than the 25. Now we will add some of the dependencies which are essential for creating the mm, web application. Like we will add the Spring Web module, and we will add one more dependency which is dev tools. Here what is the use of the Spring Web is it allows us to build the REST APIs. Like these dev tools will restart our app without whenever we make the code changes without restarting our app, it automatically restarts. Now if we see the explore button, it will see the dependencies which we have added. Like this is the Spring Boot starter web and dev tools. By default, this test dependency will also get added, and in the plugin section, while building the app, we require the Maven plugin. Now we can download this project and we can extract, double click on it and extract. Now we can open our IntelliJ and we'll open this Spring Boot demo. Okay, here we will understand each folder step by step, one by one. In the src main java, here um, it contains all our java source code, controllers, services, and repositories. While coming to the resources, it is used for configurations mostly, like application.properties file and the static files. The static files can be like timely files or JSP files or .html files. I mean to say, coming to the pom.xml file, we have the Maven configurations where we declared all our dependencies and plugins, like how we use this pom.xml similarly in the Maven project. Coming to src test, that we have the Java folder, like where we will write our unit test cases later in our series. Now let's understand the Spring Boot main application. Whenever we enter the Spring Boot demo application, we observe the @Spring Boot application annotation. It is combination of three powerful annotations. What are that? Are @configuration, @enable auto configuration, and @component scan. Here, what is the use of this configuration is, like it is used to define the beans, and @enable configuration auto configuration will, like it will auto configure our app, and component scan will scans components in our package. By default, we did not mention our package name here, so it will consider the package as common example or Spring Boot. Inside this, every sub package is also automatically scanned with the help of this uh, Spring Boot application. And coming to this Spring Boot application dot run, it starts the embedded Tomcat server. So now we will create our REST API. For this, we will create a new package dot controller. As we have discussed in our src main Java, we declare all our components, like all our Java source codes like controllers, services, repositories, and model classes, etc. Inside this package, we will create a new class called hello controller. Like we will create our first annotation at the rate means we will use the first annotation here at the rate rest controller. This annotation marks this class as a web controller, and now we will create our own rest endpoint as a get request with the help of at the rate get mapping annotation. When like whenever we hit the slash root URL, it returns a simple text response which we declared here. Yeah. So now let us run this application and test it in our browser. First go to our Spring Boot demo application and just click on here the run Spring Boot application, or right click on this class, and here we can run Spring Boot demo. Otherwise we can use command shift R, sorry, control shift R. Now I'm running this application. If you see here, by default our application has been started in the port 8080. So for this we can go to localhost 8080 and hit the slash. If you see here, we got the response as hello Spring Boot, which we are returning it from the hello method, which was invoked when the slash rest endpoint is hit through the browser or any application or anything. So now let us quickly look at the key dependencies which we had in our format.xml file. If you see here, as we have discussed, we have added the Spring Boot web module for creating the simple REST application, and the Spring Boot dev tools which will automatically restart our server when a change happens, like live reloading of the server. It is mostly useful only for the development purpose. So in this tutorial we have created a Spring Boot application using the Spring Initializer website, that is nothing but the start.spring.io, and we have understood the project structure, like what is the use of this src main java folder, like for creating the controller services, repositories, models, etc., and the resource folder for creating the application.properties file and the static files such as html, jsps, or timely files, and the test package is we mainly use for writing our unit test cases, and the pom.xml where we define all our Maven dependencies. In the next episode, we will explore the most important annotations of Spring Boot like REST controller, request mapping, and more. So you can understand what is happening behind the scenes. Okay, thank you.